Hey, Sooner Nation, welcome back to Champion Standard. He's Rob, I'm Brad. We're back for a little more today. Please like, subscribe. Appreciate all you sticking with us this year. I know it was a interesting, challenging year that we're not used to. So really appreciate everybody sticking by and listening in. I guess the conference season kind of wrapped up yesterday. All the title games wrapped up. We got a lot to cover this week since the OU's regular season ended up. We'll go a little bit into the Ben Arbuckle hire this past week.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little recruiting. Signing day was this past Wednesday. We'll get into that just a little bit, and then segue over to portal season, which will officially kick off tomorrow, and then get into some of the playoff bracket and then OU's bowl matchup. So we got a
that's a lot. That's a lot in a weekend.
Loaded podcast. Yeah.
And an hour and a half. Let's do it.
Yeah, here we go. We're gonna fly right in here. Where do we want to start? Do you want to start? Start with the Arbuckle hire, since that kind of happened the first thing this past week.
Sure. Yeah. Let's go into Ben.
Yeah. So yeah, OU got their new offensive coordinator, and he comes from Washington State. He actually got his coaching career start with Houston Baptist back in 2018, and then had a stint with Seminole High School in Texas in 2020, and then moved over to the college ranks with Western Kentucky in 2021. I believe he was there for a couple of years before he moved on to Washington State, and he's been there since 2023. So that's his full resume.
Yeah. Not a couple years play calling.
Yeah.
West Texas native, air raid OC.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Texas does have, the state of Texas does produce some of the best OCs in the country. So that's definitely a plus. West Texas included. So he's got that lineage of that air raid staples that are in his offense, and it's gonna be, it's gonna look familiar to a lot of OU fans when you start watching the Washington State film. There's just air raid stuff, right? Long history of air raid at OU, going back to Leach. I was thinking about
25 years plus.
Yeah, and I have to say, I was thinking about this the other day. Are we the only school that's won a national championship with the air raid offense?
Yes. I'm just going to say yes.
I think we are.
Because there's been a lot of SEC champions, and none of them have won
I don't think they were
with air raid. And so
you gotta think LSU 2019. That was like Sean Payton inspired Joe Brady, and like you've had the Alabamas, double ace, run downhill. I mean, there was not. So anyways, my point is, we've had, we're successful in the air raid. We're an air raid program in our blood, so we've gotten away from it a few times, with Kevin Wilson and everything. But we brought it back with Lincoln Riley, and what Ben Arbuckle runs is very Riley inspired. Lincoln Riley has inspired a new wave of air raid coaches. That GT counter stuff that Beatenbow and Riley created. I was gonna get into in the next episode, but I want to kind of coin it now that I expect that Ben Arbuckle and Coach Beatenbow pairing will not exactly be the air raid, but power raid. So back in the day, we used to call Riley's offense power raid because of the number of counter and counter attachments that we ran, inspired by Coach Beatenbow. This is not going to be air raid running 6 vert all over the field and we're gonna have some counter game to it. Coach Beatenbow, you saw it this last 5-6 games where the evolution of our counter game came in. It would be really stupid to throw all that away with Ben Arbuckle being inspired by Riley and his play call. Even though he's never coached with him, you watch the film. I mean, it looks very there's some similar stuff to it. So, and we'll break that in another episode once we get the full roster. But I'm gonna call it Power Raid going forward, not Air Raid.
I like it. That has a better sound to it anyway. Kind of makes everybody feel a little better.
Yeah, sure.
No, I hope Beatenbow has a heavy hand in the run game. I mean, who knows his players and their strengths better than him and what they can do just from a run game perspective. So I hope he has a big hand in that again. You mentioned Arbuckle, coming from West Texas. He grew up in the Panhandle in a town out there, Canadian, Texas. Rob, I'm gonna put you on the spot here, and this will be if you get this will be some good trivia. I'll give you some points on this because you're gonna have to go back about 20 years for OU here.
Okay.
What OU player, pretty well known, came from Canadian Texas within the last couple of decades?
Last 20 years.
Yeah, it would have been
Canadian
the
Texas.
mid 2000s.
Can I look up where Canadian Texas even is?
It's
up?
It's in the Panhandle, just across the Oklahoma state line.
Oh wow, that's like way up there. Texas Panhandle.
Yeah.
Last
It's
20
okay.
years.
I was trying
Can
to
you give me a
stump you.
position?
Yeah.
Give me a position. Or
Yeah,
offense,
sure.
defense?
No, defensive end.
Defensive end, Canadian Texas, last 20 years. Oh, I have no idea.
You like to catch me off guard every now and then, so I thought I'd return the
Well, you
favor.
definitely caught me off guard on that. Good Lord. Okay.
Yep. Just Austin English.
Austin English. Oh, awesome, man. Man,
Yeah.
I haven't heard, man.
I know.
What a good DN for us for a long time. He was a 4-year starter, wasn't he?
Yeah, and that guy, you talking about speed rush, that guy he could bring it from the outside, man.
Oh yeah.
I think he was a track star in high school, but yeah, I found that little tidbit the other day looking into, they went to the same high school. So,
interesting.
And yeah, and one other little tidbit, and you may have heard this on another pod. I heard it earlier this week. Arbuckle took his future wife on their first date to the 2012 OU Notre Dame football game.
Wow. I was there.
So was he.
I was there.
With his girlfriend at the time, but soon to be wife. I guess she's a big OU fan.
Nice.
Which you and I both know. That's a pretty big deal.
That is a pretty big deal. Happy wife, happy life, right?
He's got to keep the wife happy, man. He's got to win some football games. So, yeah, just a couple of little tidbits there about Arbuckle. But yeah, I'm like you said, it's not just full on air raid. I'm glad you're like giving it a different name, Power Raid.
Yeah.
And it's just not all going to be air raid, and that's to your point. So
no. Run game's going to be so much different than the classic air raid. I mean, they're not going to stick to draws and outside zone like Leach did. They're going to have a counter run game to it.
Mm-hmm.
They might even run a little bit of outside zone. I honestly didn't really see much outside zone like some people were saying, but I think we're going to have a counter run game, and that's what Beatenbow has been teaching this young offensive line, and they've done a really good job. So Power Raid.
Nice. Yeah, it sounded like Brent, did some extensive research with that offensive coordinator position the last couple of months and really dived into a lot of their film. And I think BV put it, what better resume is there than watching a guy's film and just seeing what he does? And
Right.
how he goes about it, and that's completely true. You can get all the recommendations and whatever in the world, but until you see it with your eyes. And to Brent's point, he's watched more defenses in the last 25, 30 years than he has offenses on. I mean, defenses on tape. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
he's been watching plenty of offenses. He knows what a good one looks like. So yeah, hopefully he can get. I'd like for him to get on board sooner than later. I know Washington State has a bowl game, so it'd be cool if he could get here. This
I
month.
would think he's here, right? He's not coaching in that game, right?
I wouldn't think so.
I don't think so. I think he's here.
Okay,
Like he's here.
that'd be
I
nice
don't.
just to start getting some reps under him, maybe a little bit, just to go
I
ahead
just
and.
maybe get. I mean, I think the best thing to do is just to get to know the players. Now that he's here, just to watch, like you just mentioned, watching film, like he needs
Mhm.
to get intimate with these players and then recruit these receivers to stay. We already lost one, so we need to get to know them and figure out, okay, how do I fit them? And that's why after we'll do a Ben Arbuckle deep dive after the roster kind of settles a little bit. I kind of
Mhm.
see what some of the NFL jumps that we have and the portal additions that we have, and portal subtractions that we have. But he's got to just get to know his players. I mean, I don't think you expect him to do anything else than that.
Yep. Yep. Fair statement. Just yep. So got our new OC, and that was kind of the name that was floating around there for a couple of weeks, leading up to it. So it wasn't a complete surprise to many of us, that were following it. So
Yeah.
yeah. So we kind of expect a couple more coaching changes, even though BV came out with a statement, that said we're retaining all the coaches. I think that's just a standard thing to say.
Hope so.
But there could be some.
Yeah.
There could definitely be some coaching carousels that reach out and grab some of our players or
Yeah.
whatever here in the next couple of weeks. So, you want to move on a little bit from the OC signing day. Signing day was Wednesday, the early signing day, which just gets earlier and earlier. It seems like every year. I think it was a week earlier or 10 days earlier this year.
That's
Um,
wild.
but and of course the players sign a I'm going to call it a fictitious letter of intent these days.
Uh-huh.
All it is signing something that says you commit for the next month. That used to
Oh,
that well, no, I'm joking. That used to be one of those things that felt like it
yeah.
was binding for 3 or 4 years, right? But anymore, all it is it says you have an intent to attend the university, and that's really about it. But I got I got the I think we signed. I think it was was it 17? 17 or 18 guys here. Let me share
I
my
think it was
screen.
18.
Yeah.
Yeah, and about the class, I'm surprised that we didn't have a big time running back, and I'm surprised that we didn't have more tight ends. Like, because I feel like this tight end room, we've already seen Bauer
Hmm.
Sharp jump in.
Hmm.
That tight end room is awful, and we need as much talent out of there as possible. And I do like the Washington, Trinae Washington, big kid, he can run. But I was hoping to see a little bit more there. And running back wise, I mean Torrey Blaylock, but I was hoping to see another running back. I feel like we're gonna lose a running back in the portal, at least one or two.
Hmm.
I know portal giveth, portal taketh, but like you want a nucleus of players from high school and develop them and keep them as best as you can. Um,
And
who was your favorite player?
can you see that okay, or is that big
Yeah,
enough right
no,
there?
that's good. Yeah, zoomed
And
in. That's good.
I can scroll down if you need me to here, but
So
um,
who's your favorite player out of this draft
it,
class?
yeah. So it's easy. The low lying fruit, easy thing to say here is Fasusi because he's the best offensive tackle that we've recruited in years,
Hmm.
if not decades. I don't remember
Or
the last
ever?
I don't remember the last 5-star offensive lineman that we've recruited like this.
Yeah.
So I'll say Fasusi, and there's not, other than him, there's not like a guy that jumps off to me, but there's more of like a couple of positions for me that stand out in this class.
Yeah.
Offensive line in particular, getting Fasusi, and you see here, I'll do it by position. That way I can group them together here. But you can see down here, there's your 4 O linemen. So
Yeah.
Fasusi and Foji, both great tackles. Afalava is a great guard in this
Yeah.
class, and then you just went out and got a center, which he's a specialized center, but you can't have enough of those, which we found out this year. We had 2 or 3 guys get hurt, and we were throwing out a true freshman in the center position. So I
Right.
really like this offensive line class in particular because of that. And then I really feel like the safety class, I think they're kind of blended in here down at the bottom with the other cornerbacks, but Wimberly, Guillory, and Omari Robinson, they're all 4-star guys, but I just really like, and I think Hawkins and Tristan Haynes are cornerbacks, but that safety class is a really nice class considering, we're losing Bowman. Who knows? RSJ may leave to the league. The portal's going to happen. We don't know what kind of, we just don't know what kind of safeties we're going to have on the team. So I really like this secondary class.
Yeah.
That they brought in as well. So I think those were a couple of needs that they really filled this year. And to your point, there wasn't there was no tight end, which is terrible considering the state of that room.
Is that Trene Washington not a tight end?
He is, but his frame here. I'll move back up. Look at his frame. Does that make you think he's going to be a good blocker, or is he just going to be another carry on?
6'4", 210. I mean,
yeah. So he's just.
So he's not he's not your tight end H-back. He's more your Y that you want to get him out.
Right.
Okay.
And I don't think
we need a damn H-back, man.
I'm
waiting for us to get an H.
I know.
After quarterback, which it seems like quarterback is trending Matear in the portal, H-back, a blocking tight end, is much needed in this offense. Actually, you need like 2 of them, but definitely one stud. You need bring Trey Flowers, Aaron Ripkowski, get me that Braden Willis. Braden Willis was more on the receiving side.
Trey Millard.
Trey Millard. I want that H-back. Bring the damn H-back back. If you're going to run all this counter, having an H-back that can kick out for you is like immense. So I would love to see it. But yeah, you're right. That's maybe not your Trene Washington, 6'4", 210 is most likely not your blocking tight end.
I just don't. I don't think he'll be ready. Of course, by next fall, to have an impact. So we're really expecting on Davin Mitchell to really step up and have a full year under his belt. He's still pretty young, but hopefully he can turn into a difference maker at that position. Yeah. And Torrey Blaylock's not, he's not a elite running back, but what he is just speed. So we have so he'll be a nice change of pace guy. I think for that room right now, we got Robinson, Tatum, Barnes, Salchuk on occasion, but I think adding him to the room is really going to give him that change of pace guy that I hate to compare him to, Tavon Austin type, but just a guy that's just got speed and, escapability like that. So we'll see. Hopefully
can he catch the ball out of the backfield?
Yep,
you see that in film where you catching the ball out of the backfield? Because that's
you
need to be able to do that in the power raid.
Yeah, I actually saw a couple of clips of him taking a couple of screens to the house. So the guy, yeah,
Oh, perfect.
he's got good hands. So I think he'll fit in
Good. Okay.
nicely.
Yeah, you need
Yeah.
some soft hands in this offense coming
Yeah.
up from that backfield. My favorite player in this
Hmm.
class is Darius Aflava.
Hmm.
The dude is mean. He's the meanest tape I've ever seen from a kid. You have to go back to, like, we've talked about him before. Cody Ford. You got to go back to Cody
Hmm.
Ford
Hmm.
when and I'm just imagining when we signed the class. I was imagining EPL at one guard spot and Aflava at the other spot. You already know that EPL likes to come up from the top rope and elbow drop somebody, what like he did in the main game.
Uh-huh.
I imagine Aflava doing the same thing. Can you imagine those two guys as guards? That is some fire, man. That
Yeah.
is mean, nasty guards. It's like that's exactly what you need in this league
Hmm.
that you're in, is these two guards that are gonna be just wanting, I mean, they want to hurt you. I mean, not
Yeah.
really, but like their mentality is fire. I
Just
want to
bury
move
you.
people and bury you.
Yep.
And
Pancake.
that you can't coach, it's so hard to coach that into players. It's incredibly hard to coach fire into players sometimes. And I'd much rather have a kid like EPL where you have to there's too much of it. You don't want him literally jumping on a kid and like putting his elbow into somebody. But I much reel that kid in a little bit, and now you've got two guards, the possibility of having these two kids. Oh my gosh, man. Like that would be, I said on the boards, very dangerous. That is a
Hmm.
very, if you develop those guys, they know the playbook, they're synchronized to Coach B's thinking. Whew, watch out. Cause
Yeah.
that's gonna be that's gonna be salty, man. Like that's gonna be good. Cause I'm out of everyone in this class, I have that kid circled as in the future here in a couple of years. So
Yeah. No, I like the, yeah, I like the guard depth that we kind of have in the program right now. I know we saw some guys emerge this year that got some playing time thrown into the fire a little bit. So
yeah.
I like the guard depth that we've built in the room. It's just a matter now of getting some tackles that are good in pass pro, because the pass
Well, I
pro
mean,
is
it it
not
was
good.
bad. It was bad. It was bad. Pass pro was bad, but I don't remember the last time that OU had three tackles with starting experience coming back.
Mm.
Howland, Sexton, and Jake Taylor. All three started, all three coming back. And then you add in a recruiting class a Foji and a Fasusi.
Hmm.
That's five from experience to no experience. Pretty dang good five tackles. I mean, we went into this year thin and having to add in the portal. You're going into next year.
Hmm.
You've got these guards. You add this class to it. You have these tackles, and you add these tackles to it. Whoo, man, that offensive line is going to be cooking. It's going to be cooking. I have faith in it.
And you'll have to remind me. EPL Eugene Brooks and Akinkumi. Doesn't one of them play tackle?
I think Akinkumi is a
That's
tackle, but I could be
that's what I was
mistaken.
thinking too. I know he was very raw when they got him from overseas, but
Right.
uh, no, no,
Yeah.
I'm with
There.
you.
Yeah.
And there's an outside chance Fasusi can come in and play as a freshman. We've seen it before. I know it's a little rare, but that would be nice just to have him be able to be in the two deep with the Taylors and the Sextons and those guys. You need, well, we've seen it this year. You need 4 to 6 guys that you're able to rotate out on
Mhm.
those tackle positions. So
If we had Fasusi this year, he probably would be playing, right?
mm,
Next year with the three guys I just mentioned, he's going to be in that like reserve role. He'll play his 4 games for a red shirt, right? He's going to get on the field, but if Taylor or Sexton or whoever gets hurt, you've got a 5-star, was he the number 1 tackle, number 2 tackle or whatever,
yeah,
and to be able to come in. So that's great. That's awesome. Great O-line class.
Yeah.
So what do you
No,
want to go into next?
yeah. Do you want to? Yeah, I think it's a good segue going from the recruiting class to you want to talk about some of the portal
Sure.
uh, expected portal entries. We mentioned it earlier, but let me stop here. The portal officially opens tomorrow. There's been, hundreds of guys already say their intent was to get into the portal, so that's already kind of happened a little bit. I want to say there's seven. Just looking at TFB's count right now. There's about seven guys that intend to get into the portal. Of those seven, two of them are names. That you and I both said it. There's going to be names at the portal that are going to make us cringe a little bit. And so JFA and uh, uh, Nick Anderson are the two big
Right.
names that are on those seven right now that had,
Yeah.
a big implication for our team. So JFA, not completely surprised, to his credit, he battled hard this year. I know he struggled, but when he was on the field, he put his body out there a lot of times and was running for his life. And um,
Ran 20 times in Alabama.
yeah, yeah, and it
Hard.
was
Like,
exactly,
in
yeah,
between the tackles. I mean,
yeah,
this wasn't like scrambles. I mean, they were designed runs where he was gonna take a shot.
and it's not his fault that he was mismanaged or mishandled for the last 2 years. Whether it was Levy or Latrell or whoever, that they just mismanaged his short 2 years that he was here. So uh, you can't blame a guy like that for kind of wanting to start over and get a fresh
Oh yeah.
start. So
Yep.
it makes complete sense. So we'll obviously be trying to fill his spot, so to speak. I know Hawkins is still on campus and Zerbrug, but I know we're going to be looking hard in the portal for maybe one or two guys. And the rumor, of course, out there is Ben Arbuckle, would bring along John Matear with
Right.
him,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
which would be a match made in heaven. There's no learning curve there, right? You got a guy that comes in and hits the ground running. So we'll see what transpires with that in the next couple of weeks. I don't expect Matear to announce his destination anytime soon. I think he is fairly highly touted, so I could see him just wanting to test the waters out there a little bit before
No,
he.
of course. Like you gotta see what you gotta maximize your NIL
Yeah,
deal.
yeah,
You gotta maximize that contract. You gotta flirt with everybody. I mean, I saw the stat somewhere where he's one of whatever how many quarterbacks in a long time with 3,900 yards and
mm-hmm.
40 touchdowns or whatever. I mean, he's got the stats against some non-power four opponents, and yeah, flirt around. I mean, that's what free agents do. You flirt around, you maximize that deal. Get OU to chip in more money. Make them chip in. There's going to be some programs that need a quarterback. USC needs a quarterback. Ohio State needs a quarterback. Those are some serious programs with some serious money that he's not going to just take the first deal just because his OC went to OU. It makes sense for him to go there because he wouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
to learn a new,
Mm-hmm.
language. But you got to flirt around and maximize your contract
Yeah,
if
there's
there
a
are
lot of
contracts. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I think there's plenty of high profile colleges you just mentioned that have openings. Oregon may too, with Gabriel leaving. I don't know who's behind him. I mean, they're all over.
Oh yeah, Dante. I looked it up. Dante. Yeah, they have a young guy,
Oh,
but
okay.
and we were thinking Georgia because he's from that area, right? And but Georgia just had a backup quarterback, just went on like 4 scoring drives against Texas to win an SEC championship. How did Georgia does that all the time? I don't get it, man.
I don't
Anyway,
either.
we'll get to Georgia in the playoffs later,
Right,
but
right.
going back to Jackson Arnold, it wasn't a surprise. Why? For me, his struggles, as when you're when you have a program, there are decisions that are made in January, February, March that dictate your play in September, October, November. And the decision to not have a quarterback coach on your staff coaching what you decided to have two young, inexperienced quarterbacks go into your SEC, your first year in the SEC, where you're learning about these teams, not having a quarterback coach, and then he struggles, and you could see on tape, the struggle with RPOs, the struggle simple RPOs, and everybody was throwing shit on Jackson Arnold through the
Mhm.
year, but the decision to go into the season without a quarterback coach, an actual quarterback, someone who's in their entire career, we did not have that. We did not have a quarterback coach with any experience coaching quarterbacks when you decided to have two young guys. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So all the you could say that Arnold might not be it. Arnold might not be a great quarterback, but for me, that decision to not have a actual quarterback developer is mind-boggling to me. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And so he struggles, and then, like you mentioned, in the back half of the year, he throws his body on the line for his teammates to win a game, and he gets an Alabama win. But even that LSU game, we highlighted in a pod, there were simple coaching points where there would be a wide open hitch that LSU was gifting him, and he wasn't hitting it. And that is a super easy coaching point, especially if your OC is in the box, to say, hey, hit the hitch. If they're roll coverage and he's off man, you've got a hitch. It's not that hard. But uh, he deserves to go get a fresh start. He made some terrible mistakes. He deserved to get benched. He didn't have a quarterback developer, blah, blah, blah. But he needs to go and get himself a fresh start. And I'm rooting for him as long as he
Yep.
doesn't go to Texas or USC. Um, I hope he has a great career and he stays healthy and rocks out. The way that all of this went down, this is this is a negative recruiting tool for our opponents. You had a 5-star quarterback in your recruiting hotbed in DFW
Yeah.
go through 1 year of starting for you, and then he bolted, and you had to fire your OC. And the thing about this is that the coaches are going to shoulder a lot of the blame. Not a lot of people, like, you know, there's going to be coaches outside of OU that are going to say, I can take Jackson Arnold. I can make him an All American. You know that is.
Mhm.
What, from Lane Kiffin to
Mhm.
Lincoln Riley to Ryan Day. They're all thinking, I can take this kid and I can make him an All American. He's going to go, and I wish him luck. It's not going to look good if
Mhm.
Jackson Arnold comes out of next year and throws for what, 25 touchdowns and 7 interceptions and 3,000 yards, which is a very, like, average to good season in the
Mhm.
college football. It's going to look bad on OU.
Yeah.
And all those DFW coaches, offensive coaches, that
Yeah.
they competed against Arnold for 4 years. They they watched him. They know how good he is.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's just,
I'm with you.
ooh. I don't think people are not talking about that. They just think the kid's just bad and he's just gonna be bad. I'm like, I don't think so, man. There is 4 years worth of tape of high school ball where all these coaches that have watched him, they know how good he is, and that's not that. I wish him the best, and I just hope that this doesn't turn out to be a negative recruiting tool for opposing teams.
Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah. We know he won't go to Texas because he has to get in line down there, of course. But
Yeah, right.
um, Missouri,
Ugh.
stuff like, yeah. So we need him to go far away, get out of the region. We don't want to see you. We don't want to be watching you on Saturdays play for anyone unless it's on some other coast somewhere. Uh, go to Michigan or something. I don't care that. Oh, never
There
mind. We play them.
there I he's gonna go to a
Um,
school, man. He's
I
gonna
know. I
I know
know.
he'll probably go to Levy in Mississippi State, which that would be the best scenario because Mississippi State is in complete rebuild mode. But yeah, he's gonna go to a good OC and wish him the best, but he's most likely going to
Yeah.
have a good year.
Yeah. I'm with you totally. Yeah. And a year like this year, you've just said it, we don't need any extra negative recruiting. We went 6-6 and had a bad season. There's already negative recruiting going on.
Yes.
And so you layer this on top of it. And, let's go ahead and segue to the next person that hit the portal, Nick Anderson. Okay, so OU legacy guy. We love the Andersons. Rodney and Nick and just legacy players. He had a tremendous season last year. He was a true sophomore last year, right?
Technically, he was a freshman.
Okay,
He was a redshirt. He was hurt his
that's right.
freshman year. He redshirted because of soft tissue injuries.
Yep.
Redshirt freshman, set a record for 10 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Comes into the new off season. He gets hurt in the spring, like somewhere in the spring. He missed spring practice.
Right.
So he missed spring practice with a soft tissue injury,
Mm-hmm.
and then re-aggravated it, I think, or something like that in training camp, and then again at Tennessee. So he was hurt the whole this whole year.
Right. And so he decided he wants a fresh start. And there's, some stuff. I don't know how much we want to get into it, Rob, but, just some stuff surfacing out there where, yeah. He was.
Let's do it. Let's get into it. I don't care.
It sounded like, I think he either had the injury. I think it was the injury after Tennessee. And, rumor was he was denied an MRI by the university medical staff. Is that how
I don't think it's a rumor. I mean, Gabe and Teddy pretty clear that it wasn't a rumor, that he was told specifically by Nick Anderson and Nick Anderson's group that he re-aggravated his injury in Tennessee, and they asked for an MRI and they denied it. So that's what was reported by Gabe and Teddy.
Yep. And he
that
had
half
to go,
story.
Right. So he had to go get his own MRI done, off campus. And I guess it found a tear in there, a significant tear or something like that. So
I think Gabe was quoted saying that, from, again, Nick Anderson's point of view, half story, Anderson's point of view,
right,
that it was a more severe injury than it was expected. I'm pretty sure that's what the quote was, that it was a more severe injury, again, by Nick Anderson's point of view.
Right.
The half story.
Yeah. So this is,
sorry.
Yeah, no, it's players' perspective, players' point of view. So, this is one of those things. I feel like it's an isolated incident.
Oh, it is.
With one player, and maybe things weren't handled just perfectly in this instance only. So, some of the rumors and things that start to spread is, the medical staff's not handling injuries properly, which we don't know. We don't know if that's factual or not. We're going off one. Go ahead.
Right. It's a half story.
It is.
So it is this story gets out, right? Platform for this half story, knowing that the medical staff can never provide their reasoning. There is a reason for it. They're not. I mean, the medical staff, you look at them, a couple of them, like the seniors, have been here for like 20 years. At OU for 20 years, like from like 2005 to 2003 and 2006. And you look at that staff. I mean, they're all got certifications and accolades and experience with NFL teams and everything. Like, there's a reason why. We will never know why, because we can't, because it's against the law. So they will never be able to defend the other half story. So you've got this other half story that'll never be told, and the reason and the proof, because everything is recorded, everything is transcribed, everything, the treatment plan, all of it. So you'll never know, because again, it's against the law to share that information.
Right.
So that's where I get kind of like, why is this out there? Like, why
Mhm.
is this even being like, why is a platform being used for that? I mean, that just seems really strange to me because now you just gifted all your opponents again negative recruiting
Negative
gold.
recruiting.
Like, they don't take care of their players. They don't have an MRI machine. They don't do this. They don't do that. It was funny. It was okay. I love Gabe and Teddy. I do. Like, I listen to them as much as I can. I don't have all the time in the world, but I do like to listen to them. But after that, like little segue, they segued into OU's trying to build an NFL style medical facility. Well,
Right.
Georgia already has it. Alabama has it too. Georgia just spent like $100 million on a medical facility that has MRI machines. It's not an NFL style, it's a Georgia style because
Right.
now you just gave them a recruiting tool that you're complaining about and you got your mob mentality on Twitter. They can just say, "Oh, you want to go there? Why? They don't even have this facility. They are even complaining about it."
Yeah.
And going back to like Nick Anderson, like the MRI being denied, right? And all of this. I've had my own medical issues. I was paralyzed from the shoulders down. And when the doctors told me this is the treatment plan for you, the neurologist, he spelled it out. This is what we're going to do for you. He summed it up this way. This is what we're going to do, but we are not miracle workers. Like, your body is going to take this treatment plan differently than all our other people.
Mhm.
Everybody takes this treatment plan differently.
Mhm.
Like, you're going to end up we say 6 weeks, it might be 10, it might be 10 months, it might be this. Like, we say this is your treatment plan, this is where we schedule you out, but we're not miracle workers. Like, this isn't a thing where you just, plug in, you get your therapy, you get your stuff. Like, your body is going to accept it at its own time. That's what they said. Accept it in its own time.
Mhm.
And so I was like, okay, well, here we go. And so I went through it. If you look at Nick Anderson's history, he was hurt as a freshman. So he's got a long history. And if an MRI, and I'm speculating, but the MRI is denied, he's already had a history. It's very possible, speculative, that they were going to treat his hamstring at the highest severity already.
Right.
So why would they do an MRI? An MRI is supposed to give you new information. If the information wasn't needed, they wouldn't ask for it. And they could have easily treated him with the highest treatment plan possible.
Mhm.
The other thing is MRIs are not like godlike. Like, it's not like like they could easily, the treatment plan is different than from an MRI. MRI just tells you what's wrong. That doesn't mean like the treatment plan. Those are two completely separate things. So I don't again, I only know half the story and I'll never know the other half, but that's where I'm kind of like, why is this out here? Why are we talking about it?
Yeah.
Why are we
Yeah.
providing negative recruiting gold to our opposing teams? And the kid had a history of hamstring issues.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, I can't imagine MRI anyway. So
No, I'm with you. And I've had my share of own medical issues.
sure.
I've had heart related issues, and recently, since we're on the subject, I have a shoulder issue. I went and had an MRI done. I'm like, I got to see if I got tearing in there. Um, I had the MRI done. It ruled out any tearing. So then the next course of action was just physical therapy.
Hmm.
And so sometimes that's why you have the MRI. You just rule stuff out and then go to the next thing. Just what you
Right.
said. You just figure out what the next, treatment is or the next procedure or whatever.
And
So
the other thing is we've had like, there has been hamstring injuries without MRIs.
Mhm.
And any PT with just that knows their stuff, right, can look at a hamstring and tell you what's wrong. They don't need an MRI.
Right.
Like, there's been hamstring issues with thousands of players before MRIs were even like a thing where players would go get an MRI. So, uh anyway, uh anyway,
Yeah. No.
That's coming from like the dozens of friends, and I've got all kinds of family that are
Yeah.
doctors and PTs.
Mhm.
Like I'm the pariah in my family when it comes to the medical field. So like, um, yeah. So yeah, I hope he gets healthy. I hope Nick
Mhm.
Anderson gets healthy. But you know what's gonna happen, Brad? At the end of the day, MRI denied, not denied, or whatever, he's gonna go to a better offense and he's gonna
Yep.
get paid more money.
Yeah. So just put a bow on that. This isn't a widespread medical staff issue. They've been treating guys for you said it, the last 20, 25 years down there. You know,
It's the best of the best.
it's,
Like, OU
yeah,
is not
it's
gonna be
not,
hiring
no,
chums off the street. Like, these
no.
people, like, I think the other guy, look him up. Just go, you could go look. I
Yeah.
looked him up. There's like accolades and experience and all kind, and to not to put that out there on your platform
Yeah.
and then knowing that they can't ever defend themselves, I feel like that's just kind of
Yeah.
weird. I
There's,
don't like
there's
that.
been, there's been former OU players that went on to the league, and in the off season, they used to come back to Norman and train in Norman,
Yeah,
and the medicals, and to be around the medical staff in Norman, even though they're with an NFL team. So this
yeah,
isn't something this isn't something I'm concerned about with our medical staff. It's just one of
no,
these isolated things. So
it's
to
fluky.
me, it's a non-issue. So hopefully they can move on for it. And hopefully that's the last darn thing that keeps circulating. But you're right. There's just piranhas. There's just piranhas circulating around,
There is, man.
circling around, man, just
Yes.
waiting.
Waiting for
We're
bad
gonna
info. We want
we're
bad
tearing
info.
OU down. We're tearing OU down. That's
Yeah.
what we're doing. But I was
It
happy with
it
the signing class, and we're not going anywhere. We're still bringing in good coordinators,
right.
signing class. I promise you, this portal, which we're going to segue to here in a second. Um, but we're going to lose a bunch of guys to the portal, but I feel like we've gained from the portal the last couple of years. So
Yeah.
we know 7 guys and 10 to get in the portal. Rob, I think the number is going to approach 20 that go into the portal.
Wow. Good man.
I I I think like 15 is the like basement. So I think it'll be 15 and as high as 20, because if you just look at rosters, there's guys that, and the new rule too, they're getting away from the 85 scholarships. You're supposed to
Right.
have like 105 guys on your roster. Well, we're well above that right now. You got to process some guys out. So that's why
Yeah.
I see 20 guys going out in the portal and us bringing in 8 to 10 out of the
Oh.
portal, and just
Yeah. Oh,
being
okay. Yeah, it
extra
makes sense.
extra selective. You know,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
bring in a couple of tight ends, you bring in a couple, interior linemen, whatever, but just uber selective on who they want to bring in over this next month or so. And I think there's a list out there already. There's probably 15 guys. I think TFB is keeping track of it, but at least 15 or 20 guys out there that have already been talking to OU. So
Yeah.
a lot to be settled here these next 3 weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Do we want to shift gears and talk about the new playoff rankings that came out today?
Oh, yeah. Let's go into that.
You want to do
Let's
it?
do it. Yeah.
Let's see here. Let's share my screen. Playoff bracket. There we go. See that okay?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
that's cool, bracket. I like that one.
Yeah, I like that image. That looked pretty neat.
Yeah, so this is just so we talked about the playoff in the summer or a little bit before the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about how that group of 5 team was just going to piss people off. And I thought they were going to take the 12 seed. You remember we were just like, just rank them. Like, why do we have to give the group of 5 anything? I don't care. Just
Right.
rank them 1 to 12. That's what we said.
Mm-hmm.
I never would have thought a group of 5 team would get a 3 seed and get a bye week
I know.
based on playing UNLV.
Yeah.
And then you look at 5, and everyone's already talking about it. Texas was 0 to 25, 0 top 25 wins, getting a
Hmm.
home game bye. And then you look at like Oregon and their number 1 seed and how they have to play either Tennessee or Ohio
Hmm.
State.
Hmm.
They have to play either Texas, Clemson, or Arizona State. They have to go 16-0 with that side of the bracket in order to win a championship. This
Yeah.
is
Yeah. No, they could.
just
They could.
ranked them one.
You're
Yeah, go
right.
ahead.
They could beat Ohio State, Texas, and Georgia to try to win a title. That is not an easy path at all.
That is they have to go undefeated 16 and
Yeah.
0, man,
Yeah.
in order to win a national championship
Right.
and have that schedule. And they're supposedly the one ranked team, like number 1. Like they earned their I mean, I don't know. That
Yeah.
and then meanwhile Georgia gets the
Yep.
winner of Indiana and Notre Dame. And by the
Yeah.
way, on Notre Dame, did you see Joey Galloway? He had Notre Dame getting into the national championship.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
He must have started drinking early.
I thought he was
And
gone.
and to be honest with you, I like Indiana in that matchup.
Oh, yeah.
So I think
Signetti.
I do like it. It's just a little. There's a little in-state rivalry going on with that one.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
But no, I'm with
But
you.
I think the order. I think you kick Boise State out. You bring another SEC team in. I don't care. Pick one. Bama, South Carolina, or Ole Miss. You bring them in. Oregon should be getting the winner of like an Indiana Notre Dame. Flip them.
Hmm.
But I don't know. It's weird and wonky. What I want, and I said it in that last pod a few months,
Hmm.
like 4, 5, 6 months ago. What's gonna end up happening is people are gonna get mad at this. They're gonna change it. Then they're gonna get mad again, and then we're gonna stay mad until the Big Ten expands and the SEC expands, and the Big Ten and the SEC will have their own playoff, and then they would send their champion for the national champion.
Right.
That's how it should work. And
Yeah.
then bring divisions back and
Hmm.
stop even the conference scheduling is all out of whack with the whole round robin thing. Bring divisions based
Hmm.
on rivals, have a playoff, and then send your champion to the Big Ten champion, and then boom, you got your national champion.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It's kind of flawed the way it's set up. Um, I would say just
Yeah.
follow the NFL model, but the NFL model is a little bit flawed in itself to some degree. But there is the one thing with the NFL model that's a little different than this one, of course, is uh, I believe there's some reseeding after the first round in the NFL. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but like
Hmm.
like the one seed will play the lowest remaining team. I may be
Yes.
wrong. I may
No,
be.
so the first
Yep.
seed has a bye, the
Yep.
others play each other, and the one will play the lowest of
Yep.
whoever won 2 through 7
Yep.
or 2
Which
through
which
8 or
is which
whatever.
was what I would like to see here.
Yeah,
If
I mean
if
that
you could do that, you know what I mean?
they were trying with this trying to make sure the conference championship game had meaning. And so if the conference championship game has meaning, then you get a bye week, which everyone wants a bye, rest and all that. But I was, the my suggestion, my idea isn't going to come to fruition for another 6 years, but I would like to see the SEC and the Big Ten just have their, expand, get your teams, and then
Hmm.
have your own playoff, and then championship. Boom, divisions, win your division, have your seeding. You could have the NFL model, and then have your championship off of it. This is garbage. Like
Yeah.
this doesn't make sense. Texas, no, I mean this is stupid. Like I don't know why we pander to the group of 5. Like
Mhm.
Boise State's gonna get murdered unless somehow SMU upsets Penn State. Boise State is just eh, they're gonna get murdered. They're gonna be. I mean, it's just a waste of game.
Yeah, and it'll just be weird for us in the postseason to watch a. Oh, never mind. They won't host a game. Never mind. On the Boise State, that's not a hosting thing. That'll be a bowl game. But yeah, it's just we know it's flawed. This is the first year for 12 teams, so my guess is they'll tweak it next year. However, they need to tweak it to try to get things a little more balanced, because I know there's been a lot of complaining or whatever with this current bracket, especially with Arizona State and Boise staring us right in the face right there and getting a bye. It's just kind of odd.
Well,
I
it's
don't.
odd because you can look at Alabama, Ole Miss, and South Carolina. Does
Mhm.
Boise State beat any of
Mm-mm.
those three?
No.
And they get a bye and a 3 seed, and then they get a winner of Penn State or SMU? Like, man, just I don't know
Yeah.
why we do this. This is just weird. This
Yeah.
just doesn't make any sense.
And it's the whole, you give Georgia this easy path, Rob, which we
Yeah.
and look where they're playing the championship.
In Georgia. They're gonna have a home game.
Yeah. So yeah. So it's just completely served up for Georgia to just make a run through here, and you've made it to where there's a good chance that one team that's a higher seed than Georgia is likely going to get upset because of the way you
Yep.
put the teams in here.
Here, I want to play a little game real quick. So I'm gonna name a team,
Okay.
and you tell me, does Boise State beat them or not? And these are teams outside of the playoffs, and I'm basing it on the rankings. Actually, I'll base it on I'll base it on the rankings over here. And let's see how far down we get to you believe Boise State can beat. So the first one, obviously, Alabama.
Nope.
Okay, Miami,
No.
Ole Miss,
No.
South Carolina,
No.
BYU.
I'm going to give that a yes.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that's the 17th ranked team. That is one, two, three, four teams removed out of the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
And you still have Iowa State, which it's the Big 12.
Yeah.
Missouri's out there, Illinois, Syracuse. So you're giving a 3 seed. You're giving a 3 seed to like a 17th to in that 16 to 18 range team.
Yeah. And you realize they're seeded seventh, but in the playoff rankings, if I'm not mistaken, they were like 11th or 9th.
So
Because
I'm
they
looking
actually,
at the college football playoff rankings, and they are ranked 9.
yeah. So
This is
there's
stupid, man.
there's every bit of 6 teams behind them that could beat them.
Then you got Clemson, who's 16th ranked in the
Mm-hmm.
playoff rankings, getting the 12 seed. This is weird. This make like I,
It is.
these are supposed to be like the smartest people in the country.
Yeah.
These guys are supposed to be like, we're the ADs with 20 years of experience and this and that, and they can't even make a good bracket. I'd rather give Joe Schmo the plumber the bracket for a week, and I bet he would be able to figure it out. I got a really smart plumber. I like that guy. His name is Jake. He's one smart cookie. I bet I give him a bracket. He would put together a better bracket than all these dudes.
So if I'm picking the opening round winners, you want to go first or you want me? But
Oh,
I
you go
have,
ahead.
yeah. So the 4 winners I would have from the opening round, which will be December 21st. I will pick, like, this is one time I'm rooting for Dabo, but I think Texas wins that pretty handily. And then on the other side, I'm going to pick Tennessee upsetting Ohio State. And then Indiana beating Notre Dame. And then I'm going to have Penn State beating SMU, because I think, even though I'm not a huge James Franklin fan, I just think Penn State has a physical brand of football that I don't think SMU will be able to match for 4 quarters. So that's my Penn State, Indiana, Tennessee, Texas.
Nice. Okay.
Would you differ from that? Is there a couple of other?
So you said Tennessee, Texas, Indiana, and Penn State.
Yeah.
Man, so the only one, I mean, I would love to see Texas lose, but
Yeah.
that Clemson defensive line is pretty salty. That's going to get after that Texas offensive line, and Ewers is going to gift you a couple brain farts for turnovers. um, I'll take Clemson there.
I
I
like
think
it.
Clemson.
I like it.
I'll take Clemson there because I feel like Dabo his he, he's he's been kind of forgotten a little bit on the
Sure.
national scale
Sure.
and on the national level. I mean, like getting to the playoff, it's been a
hmm
while,
hmm
and getting into this I'm a road warrior type playoff. You always have an upset in the first round, and I will go Clemson there. I think Tennessee. I'll choose Tennessee there. I think Ohio State as a program is in full meltdown. I think they're about to riot in the streets to get Ryan Day out of their program.
Yeah, and
And
I just don't
yeah,
trust Howard.
yeah, I don't trust them
I
either.
I have zero trust for Howard to win a playoff
They
game. So.
quarterback play. I'm going quarterback play all through here, and
hmm
so that's why I choose Kate Klubnik. I choose. I'll choose Nico and the Fighting Heupels. Give me Signetti and the coaching,
hmm hmm
and Penn State's gonna drop 40 on SMU. SMU, I just did not feel like the lines really held up. I saw Savion Byrd give up like a few sacks there. Penn State's gonna so sum up Tennessee, Clemson, Indiana, Penn State.
Okay, so I'm glad you took Clemson. I didn't have the guts to do it, and you did it. So I'm with you. Dabo's no stranger to big games, and so this will be, other than it being a road game instead of a neutral site like he's used to in playoffs. That's the only challenge there'll be for Clemson to go
I
on the
think
road and go in
I,
there. But
this is a legit top 25 matchup. Texas has proven that their secondary is blah, and they've got one good corner. I think Clemson gets it.
and this will be the second team, only the second team that no, that's not right. How many top 25 teams did Texas play this year? Did
None.
they play?
I mean,
So
they
just
played
Georgia?
some, but they all fell.
So they played
Besides
Georgia
Georgia, and they
twice.
lost. They
Yep.
played Georgia twice. They don't have. They played. Sorry, I might have said that
Not
wrong.
very
They haven't.
not very yeah,
Let's look at it.
not very many. If I'm
I don't
sitting
think they
here
had an
thinking about it.
opportunity to.
I'm thinking other teams, Kentucky,
So Michigan was ranked top 25, but they fell out.
A&M.
And then Oklahoma we were not. Georgia they lost by 2 possessions. Then they played Vanderbilt, Florida,
Mhm,
Arkansas,
mhm,
Kentucky, and
mhm.
and then they lost to A&M. Or sorry, they
Yeah,
beat A&M.
yeah.
They beat A&M, sorry. So they haven't had an opportunity to. They played
Mm-mm.
Georgia and Michigan on the day that they were ranked in the top 24. They beat Michigan, but they ended up falling out. And so they've only played Georgia as a top 25 opponent, and they've lost twice.
Right.
And Georgia beat them with a backup quarterback that led them into 4 scoring drives.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think Clemson's got a pretty salty defense, like you said. So I think they'll be able to keep them in the game.
And I think the X factor for me is Klubnik outplaying Ewers. That's
And
what I'm banking on.
Wesco's pretty darn good receiver too. He's shown a couple of times this year that Texas receiving core is really good. Don't get me wrong, but Wesco looks like the real deal there in Clemson.
Yeah.
So we agreed on everything, but Clemson, Texas, and so those quarterfinal matchups, I think you and I can both agree on Georgia, no matter who they get.
Um, what happens if Carson Beck is hurt? If he's out,
Yeah, that's
because
true.
I mean, if his arm was dangling, he looked like
Brock
Woody from
Purdy.
Toy Story without a arm.
Yeah. Yeah,
He
good
was just
point.
like dangling there. He was like with a tear. He was just like sitting there like,
So
um,
that'll be 3 weeks out by the time that game's played. So yeah, you're right. If they don't have Beck, then they're playing with kind of another.
with a smart coach. I mean,
Yeah.
Indiana doesn't have the talent. Obviously, doesn't have the horses for Georgia, but they'll put together a plan. I'll pick Georgia there. Run game.
Yep. Yep.
Beck hurt, not hurt. Give me the Georgia run game in the very uh, pressure based man coverage defense that they like to play
Okay.
to
So
man up on Indiana.
we both took Penn State. So Penn State matches up against Boise. Uh, Penn
Give me
State.
Penn State.
Yep. This other side, I had Texas, you had Clemson going against Arizona State. I'm going to put words in your mouth here, but if it's Texas or Clemson, I say either one beats Arizona State.
Either one beats Arizona State.
Yeah, you think Arizona State will beat Clemson?
I'll take Arizona State
Okay.
there.
Dilly dilly.
Dilly dilly. Give me dilly dilly.
And then Oregon, we both have them matching up against Tennessee. I think Oregon's just got too much on both sides of the ball, but I think that's going to be a really fun shootout type of game.
I can't wait for that. That's
in
gonna be
the
fun.
30s, pushing 40s. I think that'll be very entertaining. But
Yeah.
I like the fighting Dylan Gabriel's in that one.
Yeah.
And then Oregon, Georgia. I know that's chalk, but
It'd be Oregon, Texas for you, and Oregon, Arizona State for me, right?
right. And I'm taking Oregon.
I'm taking Oregon. I will take Oregon as well.
You and I have been on the Oregon train this year, and it's hard for us to jump off.
Yeah,
At this point,
it's just I don't. Man, this is hard. Does Oregon really win 16 wins for a championship?
It's tough, man. Is it 16 or 17? Oh,
It'd
it
be
is 16 for them because they would just have to win 3.
16.
Oof.
I guess I just don't think we're gonna have a undefeated team like that. I think they're gonna get snake bit. I'm gonna take my answer back. Tennessee wins.
Okay, so Tennessee wins, so you'd have Tennessee up against Clemson. Oh, I'm sorry, Tennessee up against Arizona State.
Is that how it's gonna happen? Oh man. No, okay, no, I'll stick to my Oregon. Oregon, Arizona State, and Oregon wins. Oregon's in the national championship.
Yep.
And then you've got Penn State and Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got Georgia moving.
I do. I don't trust Drew Aller and that Penn State offense to move very effectively against Georgia. I think they play right into the hands of that Georgia defense. I think they'll just stymie them all night long.
Yeah.
So,
So then you've got man.
Hmm.
Because if Carson Beck is hurt and he's not playing, that's where I would say Penn State narrowly gets the win.
Mm-hmm.
But if Beck is in, and I'll say Beck is in and healthy because of that break, then Georgia, Oregon, which is the game I want. I think everybody wants is Georgia, Oregon.
Sure.
I mean, Dan Lanning, Kirby Smart, Will Stein, and that offense, fast, super quick, processing from DG, lots of short underneath throws for big plays versus Georgia's man covered defense that likes to pressure you. That's going to be awesome. So is that where you're leading? Did you get to Oregon, Georgia as a national championship as well?
Yeah, even though it looks like chalk, and I just can't get away from it just because those other teams' paths are a little rough.
Right.
Yep. So Georgia, Oregon, both of us.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
that's the game I want to see.
yeah.
So
I know who I'm taking in that, but I'm gonna let you go first there.
I just don't see our first year with this expanded playoff and the extra games where we're gonna have a 16-0 team. So I will take the Dogs in an upset.
At home.
Defense at home with that home crowd.
Yeah.
Give me Georgia and the Dogs, and SEC just means more.
Yeah. It
We
came
stick to
out.
our own.
It came
We're
out.
in the SEC now, Brad.
Yeah.
We always
I'm
give
gonna
me
I'm gonna
Georgia.
I'm gonna take Oregon, even though I'm with you on the undefeated. Going undefeated is just brutal.
That would be
It's
wild.
so hard.
16
But
and 0 for the first year
yeah,
and win a national championship.
I,
Oh
I,
man,
I look at
that's crazy.
Georgia's record, the two losses they had. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was Ole Miss and Alabama.
Say that again. Sorry.
Ole Miss and Alabama were Georgia's two losses.
It was Alabama where they battled back. They
Yep.
were 30-7
And
and they battled back.
mhm.
Great second half adjustments and got them back into the game and really came down to the wire. And Alabama just made that extra play, and then they lost to Ole Miss.
Yeah. So those two losses were against some pretty decent offenses.
Yeah, in that Ole Miss game, if I remember right, they couldn't run the ball,
Mm-hmm.
or they only ran for 60 yards or 50 yards or something like that, if I remember right. But I think they'll lean into that run game. That run game and that O line took over that Texas game, and that's where I'm hoping that Clemson can maybe run the ball, but play really great defensive line to get that upset. But
Yep.
man, Oregon as a national championship champion for you on a 16-0 season, that is wild.
It's not likely, but I guess I'm kind of rooting for that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, give me the Dogs. I'll take the Dogs.
You're starting to sound like Pat McAfee.
You know what? The dark horse for me is Arizona State. Out of those top four, being able to bye week and game plan and prep and get healthy and take Scatabo. Is that how you say his name? Scatabo?
Sure. That big freaking running back.
Yeah, I mean
looked
they
like
could.
a fullback.
Yeah, could get him some wrinkles off of that run game and get you that one, because they're looking at just one victory to get them into that semifinal and really cause some havoc. So dilly, man. Dilly.
I don't think that would hurt my feelings if Arizona State did make a little run like that. Nothing like having an underdog pull through. Yeah, you mentioned Arizona State already as kind of an underdog, and if I'm picking an underdog, which you would agree with me, anything higher than a 6 seed or 7 seed to win it all would kind of be an underdog, right?
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah,
I
don't
could see
really see one.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Just we've seen them
Pass rushers.
We've seen
they've
them
got
put
the edge
together.
pass
We've
rush.
seen them
Yeah.
put together some really good games at times, So they're a team. If they sneak by that first round, that Oregon game could be a shootout, and who knows? But
I mean, they've got that James Pierce Jr. That's a great edge rusher, and Deontay Thornton, and that receiving core is pretty good. And Nico, he's gotten a little bit better each week as a true freshman. I feel like, yeah, I mean that would probably be my, because you got to score points to win. I have 6 and under, man. That's hard. I'm sticking to my Dogs.
Yep. Yep. All starts here in a couple of weeks. So that takes care of the playoff bracket, and they announced the other bowl games. And drum roll, please. OU going to the Armed Forces Bowl to play Navy on December 27th in Fort Worth.
Oh man. I mean, I kind of like the matchup if we've got
Yeah.
our interior defensive lineman to stop that jet motion wing T option game that
Right.
Navy likes to run. I mean, I think they're fifth in the country in attempts per game, run attempts per game with 46. They're gonna run the ball like crazy, which we're one of the. I mean, looking at us, run stop. We've been saying all year we're one of the best run stopping all OU teams in the last 10 years or so or longer. It fits, but Dominic jumps to the NFL,
Right.
RSJ jumps to the NFL, Dejon Terry says I'm skipping the bowl game, and
Stutzman sits out.
Stutzman opts
Bowman
out.
Bowman sits out. Opts out.
Well, yeah, they're not going to go to the Armed Forces Bowl, so then you're looking at defending the run 50 attempts with, some new players. Whew, that's going to be
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
And a new
That,
quarterback. But this is not really about the game, right?
now
We don't care. Like
practices and development.
practices.
Yeah.
Like we talked about at the top of the pod, Ben Arbuckle, just get to know his players, talk to them. It's all about next year. Offensive line, work your counter game. That's it.
Yep. Yep.
I mean,
I never.
do you feel like there's any importance at all? Would a loss to Navy in this bowl game move the needle now that we have our OC? Does it move the needle for John Matear?
No.
Anything? Does it do anything? A
I don't.
loss?
I don't. So by the time that game comes around, I think we'll have already had most of our portal haul on who we're going to bring in. I think there's a really good chance Matear will already have been committed to us. I think we'll have already potentially maybe have changed a couple of coaches by then. I don't. That may be a January thing. I don't know at this point. You just don't know on stuff like that. But
Right.
to answer your question, no. I think losing to a Navy and Armed Forces Bowl, all it's going to do is add to what was already a poor season. Yes, but does it change anything beyond that? I don't believe so.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I'm
we go down there and don't score points. Is that a big revelation? Nope, we haven't scored all year. You know,
right.
if the defense
Yeah.
goes down there and gives up 35, 40 points to a Navy team, well, that better be because 10 guys opt out. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think it moves the needle all that much. But
It's in Fort Worth. That might be a fun road trip. You want to
yeah,
do our first live of
I,
Champion
I
Standard at inside the stadium?
I would
Get our
say
get our Starlink.
yes and no. Here's the problem. It's not in a stadium. It's not in a covered stadium. It's in, like, I think it's where TCU plays. So it could
Huh?
be 10 degrees.
Huh?
Yeah. It's in
Where's it
Fort
at?
Worth. It's in Fort Worth, but it's not in Jerry's World. So it obviously there's no other covered stadium down there besides Jerry's World, right?
Oh, it is. It's Amon G Stadium.
Yeah, that's TCU's home field.
Oh. Huh. Okay.
So
Amon
so
G Carter.
can you imagine us 10 degrees wearing these parkas doing our podcast? Oh, having to drink.
Hey, at least it's not South Bend,
Yeah.
where they're gonna, they're gonna have to play a playoff game. But
Oh, I
yeah,
know.
that or Penn State. But yeah,
Yeah,
it might be kind of chilly.
it could be. I know there's been some cold games down there before. And we remember the Cotton Bowl that we played in along against Arkansas when it was like 10, 20 degrees a long time ago.
Oh,
So it could be similar to that. But man, we covered a lot of ground in short time.
yeah, we hit a lot of topics, man. That was a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. We want to wrap things up. What's on the horizon for us since
Well,
OU's kind of wrapping up?
I'm assuming by next week, next Sunday, we talk at least another portal or so, portal additions, maybe John Matear,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know if we'll do a breakdown on Navy. I don't know, like we just talked about. I mean,
No.
like we can show
Yeah.
people what the jet wing motion, jet wing T option that Navy runs. It's actually kind of fun. It's actually kind of cool. But besides that, I mean, we're just kind of, I don't know, feel out the next week, roller coaster stuff. This last
Yeah.
week was a lot. I was like, golly, we
It
gotta talk about
was.
that. Talk about that.
There was a lot. It kind of piled up. Now we'll just shoot for portal pirating episode.
Portal pirating. Yep.
Yeah, sounds good. But hey, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Appreciate you. Until next time, we will see you then. Boomer Center.
See you guys.